I'm here with Rashida Jones. I called her last night and told her that we have to be matching. And so she is wearing a black jumpsuit, just like me. And we're here to talk about her new documentary, Hot Girls Wanted. Rashida Jones is one of the more lovable comedic actresses in Hollywood.
Who's the man, Head?
Jesus. You're the man.
You're the man!
I'm the man.
You're the man!
That's right.
Say it!
I'm the man.
Say it!
Yeah, I'm the man!
Louder!
I'm the man!
Yes! Come on!
Best known for her roles in Parks and Recreation, The Office, and I Love You, Man.
Peter, your mouth tastes like an ashtray.
Yes. I went to dinner with this guy and he kissed me.
What the fuck are you talking about?
But over the past few years, Rashida's been focusing more on writing and producing. She also, though somewhat accidentally, found herself caught up in the middle of a debate on the pornification of pop culture and the prevalence of twerking. While she's faced backlash from it, she's taken it as a chance to ask genuine questions about sex and feminism today, themes that are also central to the documentary she just produced, Hot Girls Wanted.
Every day, a new girl turns 18. Free flight to Miami.
I found an ad on Craigslist. It was under TV shows and radio jobs. I sent them these two pictures because I didn't know what they wanted exactly. It didn't hit me until I got on the plane.
I only work with amateur girls brand new to the industry, usually like 18 to 21. I call them teeny boppers.
I've never had really a problem with porn. I don't know that I've really cared either way too much about it, people involved in it, people who watch it, etc. But first, kind of before we get into the film, like, what are your thoughts on porn, the porn industry?
I have no problem with porn. Like, also, it doesn't even matter if I have any kind of problem with porn because it's here to stay.
Yeah.
But I personally have no problem with porn as adult entertainment. I think it's great that we have the freedom to explore our sexual fantasies and that there's like tools to do that. The problem with me is that there's no regulation in the industry. The average age now where somebody watches their first porn is 11. And that would be fine, except that, like, to say porn is such a broad term. Like, porn can be anything from like something really like softcore and like mellow to like hardcore, violent torture porn, you know, which, so like for somebody to learn about sex from porn, I think is really dangerous. And I think that happens a lot.
You covered amateur porn, so tell us a little bit about what that is.
So amateur porn, it sounds like it's not real porn, but it is. It's just basically like another genre. It's incredibly popular because it feels more realistic, but the truth is it's not. It's still cast and it's lit and there's scripts or whatever, but the idea is that it's like young girls like at home, you know, and their dad's, you know, away for the weekend and like somebody comes by and it's like, what are you doing here? And it's sort of catching like young innocent girls off guard.
Everything is the same shoot, like it's always your first time.
How can I help you?
I locked everything in my car. I mean, I don't know if you have a phone or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I work right over here.
And you're just like, well, I'm dumb as hell and I need $500 and I'm just gonna get this random dude that I would never have sex with in real life. That last part, I hated. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I could tell him no.
Just can't be good for you to have sex that much with that many different people. Ugh, so weird, but that's my job.
Generally, if you're 18 and you go to Miami, you're done in a year because there's not enough amateur jobs for you. And, you know, you can get some other jobs, but like the niche stuff pays more and the niche stuff is harder on your body. You know, they can make $800, $1,000 a shoot, but they still have to pay for hair and nails and makeup and travel and clothes. And plus they're trying to live in a kind of like lavish way. So it ends up not being cost effective, you know, it's not worth it. So then you have to start making like further negotiations with yourself. Like, will I do torture porn? Will I do fetish porn? Will I do sites like facial abuse where you're doing like forced blowjobs and, you know, vomiting and like things that you just never expected to do, like the less pretty version of porn.
Can you tell us what facial abuse is?
Facial abuse is a really popular site and it's just lots of movies of girls kind of showing up to like almost like a casting and the guy starts to kind of ask her questions and then it devolves into him just abusing her verbally and physically and making her choke and forcing blowjobs and coming in her face and making her vomit into dog bowls. Like, it's pretty graphic.
And then sucking the vomit up.
And then sucking and then eating
it's
the
like
vomit.
Right when you think it couldn't get any worse, it gets worse.
Yeah. And, listen, there's an argument that some of the women who do it, and some of the women talk about in the film, and some people outside of porn, inside of porn have, which is if you're making money, you're empowered. So it's your choice, it's entertainment, it's for entertainment, and therefore, argument over. I tend to think it's slightly more nuanced than that, and it's really difficult to believe that the girls who are crying when they're being, raped on camera are always, acting and performing. I also find it hard to believe that everybody who watches that knows that it's fake and that it's just for entertainment and don't internalize it in another way.
But why are young girls getting into this?
Porn is not a taboo, marginal, subversive thing anymore. It's like front and center. And part of the reason I got involved with this documentary is I've been vocal about this conflation of pop culture and porn that's happening right now. And it's happening everywhere in music and film. And it's almost like they've been given permission to think that porn is a good place to go. It's a great, quick cash, glamorous way to almost get famous. Maybe get famous if you're lucky.
I go by Lucy Tyler, and she's a fun little bubblegum princess teeny bopper character that I play. I tuck in my nose ring and I take out my gauges and I wear my hair in my face. It's so much fun to have a different persona.
When you're 18, when you're making choices for yourself, you're not thinking about the eternal effects of footage online. You're not thinking about the external and internal costs, psychological, emotional, physiological, physical costs of having sex for a living. You're thinking about the fame part of it, And so you might not be the best candidate to make a decision for yourself, but you're allowed to because you're 18, and that's all you need to be.
I don't actually have sex other than when I do porn. So it's nerve-wracking and it makes me nervous, but at the same time, I know I like doing it. And the guys treat you like you're a princess. I know.
I'm trying to be famous, so gotta do what you gotta
do. You've written about the pornification of pop culture. Can you explain that idea a little bit?
I had a bit of a tipping point with pop culture, and I don't know if this ages me and makes me of a different generation, where I saw so much imagery in 1 week that was just fully inspired by porn and stripper culture, and it just felt like something that we were forced to accept, and we never got a chance to have a conversation about it. It wasn't sexy, titillating, suggestive. It was here is the bottom of my ass. Here is the closest thing you're gonna see to my vagina without getting arrested. That message, that really homogenized, myopic message that your sex is the thing that makes you valuable, that is your currency, that limits women's choices.
And you think that's coming from pop culture?
I do, and I think it's not it's nobody's fault. It's a Frankenstein of culturally what we want. It's also, to me, what was gonna happen, the trajectory from, the women's movement and sexual liberation movement, it was gonna happen. We were gonna get to a place where anything goes. But the problem is the eyes that are on these girls, the people who buy tickets to their concert are 9, 9-year-old girls. So whether or not you say you're a role model, whether or not you say it's not your responsibility, unfortunately that's who gives you money, are young people. And I just think it's worth stopping and asking the question, is there something else that we can do? Is there another way to go? Do you have to twerk to be cool?
Yeah.
I just want to know.
But don't you think Miley and Rihanna and Nicki Minaj choose to do that? I don't think it's, maybe I'm wrong, some male manager who's saying, you better do this, dress this way, dance this way. Don't you think that's sort of them, that's their art, right? That's their performance, and kind of shouldn't they be able to do that?
Totally. I think they should absolutely be able to do that. And I actually think for all 3 of them, it's probably just very much who they are.
Yeah.
That's the way they're expressing who they are. I think the problem is that because they're so cool, because they're so talented, because their music is so good, it makes everybody else in the industry want to do what they're doing. And it makes all of the other record executives want to have their version of that thing. So, you could chalk it up to a trend. But it does feel like it's across the board now with Instagram, social media, pop stars, actresses. It feels like you have to be sexy to be noticed. I don't know what the answer is. And I also to call out people by name, I feel slightly strange about, because I do think there They are so sex positive and empowering, you know, Nicki Minaj in terms of like allowing other girls with different, you know, body types that weren't acceptable 20 years ago. They now have somebody to look up to that make them feel good about themselves. I work sometimes with this organization in San Francisco called About Face, and their whole thing is about really making sure we distinguish between sexuality and sexualization.
What's the difference between sexuality and sexualization?
Sexuality is kind of everything involving what makes you feel good, what gets you off, who you're attracted to. The little specific things are important to you to get you off. And then how you kind of in turn present that in the world. Sexualization is really when you're the object. It's only when somebody looks at you and tells you how they want you to be sexy, what they see about you. It's performative. So I think we've lost track of the difference. This big psychological study just came out about young girls and sex and media and like self-esteem, and we really don't have room in our brains for everything at a certain age. When we're like 8, 9, 10 developing. It's like either math homework or you care about what a boy thinks about you. It's murky in the area of like sex positive, female empowerment, sex for money area. Doesn't necessarily make you feel good.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest takeaway for me in this film is it's not that porn sucks. It's not that people shouldn't do porn. It's that young girls should know what they're getting into when they decide to do amateur porn.
Yeah.
Is that, what other takeaways would you have?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a bit of a cautionary tale in that way. Porn does not suck. I mean, porn to me is embodiment of like the peak of capitalism in so many ways, the commodification of sex. There's a lot about it that says a lot about our culture that's good and bad.
Have we reversed the path that we were on for women's rights?
I do not think that we've gone backwards. It's tricky because I think what's happening is women are now embodying this classic idea of like the powerful, successful, capitalistic man, which is like, I make money and it doesn't matter how I make money, I'm making my money. Like that's sort of like the new brand of like sex. And I think there's a lot of value in that, but I also think it's dangerous because we're ignoring whatever other costs there may be, you know? Why does it have to be our currency? Mm-hmm. It shouldn't have to be our currency. It's just limiting. I just find it really limiting. But I don't think we've gone backwards, and in fact, I think the fact that we're having the discussion probably means we're gonna continue to move forward.
Well put.
Try to be balanced. I get in so much trouble all the time.
I think we did a good job saying, we're not prude.
I'm not prude. I literally was called a Sunday school teacher, and I was like, no, I'm not.
I'm sure the trolls are going to come out after this interview.
Oh, God. Yeah, for sure. This whole run, yeah, for sure.